Greetings, students. Today we're going to be covering chapter 27. And so it's called Substance Use Disorders as a Disease of the Human Spirit. Before we get into the objectives, I'd like to say that religion is a specific set of organized beliefs and practices, usually shared by a community or groups. There's an importance given to adherence of rules, and they share character traits and outlooks on life. Now, spirituality is more of an individual practice and has to do with having a sense of peace and purpose, and concentrates more on each person's individual soul. So that we can say that spirituality involves the recognition of a feeling or a sense or a belief that there is something greater than themselves, something more to the human being than the sensory experience. And it's an opening of the heart. It is an essential aspect of an open heart is an essential aspect of true spirituality. And so though all religions emphasize spiritualism as part of the faith, you can be spiritual without being religious or a member of an organized religion. So having said that, we'll look at the objective for this chapter. And it's to understand the difference between spirituality and religion and how disease of the spirit blocks spiritual growth. So I just gave you a definition of religion, and I gave you a definition of spirituality. And to identify the elements related to spirituality and the benefits from spirituality. Now remember that the reason we're dealing with this is because many programs are based on the 12 steps. And the 12 steps refer to spirituality and to God and to a higher power. So remember that a lot of people that you will be dealing with have been through some very horrendous, traumatic experiences in their life. And so some of them say, if there really was a God, why did he allow this to happen to me? Or they stopped believing in God a long time ago. So here we're talking about spirituality and what in the sense that it equates healing and how it's used in treatment programs. So the strengthening the sense of one's own importance and inner peace, especially in addicted individuals, seems to be very important because addicts have many personal challenges, including assessment of the significance and meaning of their lives. So their attempts to maintain their dignity and self-esteem while faced with losing their physical activities and encountering the negative attitudes of the community and others that have that the attitudes they have towards them have a detrimental effect on them. So the strengthening of an addict's spiritual attitudes and religious beliefs and encouraging and justifying their performance of related actions can improve their quality of life. It can increase their self-confidence, self-esteem, and their dignity. And so the individual's self identifies from the person's view of him or herself. In other words, it's a self-image of oneself. And they have the opportunity to define a meaning or create a meaning for his or her life. And so the individual actively seeks to understand his or her own self, what they're all about, chooses life experiences from which to learn from, and those memories that he or she must confront to allow for spiritual growth. All those things that they felt ashamed of, guilty of, or they don't even want to talk about, they had put away in that big dark closet that you keep in your mind. The strengthening of spirituality and religious attitudes among young drug users encourages them to engage in and justify actions that are relevant to their health. When this happens, their quality of life increases significantly. So they're saying that when you start to delve into the spiritual component, which equals, spirituality equals inner peace, equals healing, then the person it can be more open to changing their life. And so the spirituality process of recognizing the interconnectedness of all life can also help buffer the pain that comes with different experiences. If we can compassionately remind ourselves in moments of falling down that failure is part of the shared human experience, then that moment becomes one of the togetherness times rather than putting yourself in isolation. When our troubled, painful experiences are framed by the recognition that countless others have undergone similar hardships, the blow is softened. So in other words, you're saying, if you put it into perspective into your life, and you're willing to look at it and see that, this is a shared human experience, and when you're talking to others and others are sharing that you weren't the only one who went through horrible things, who had painful experiences, then you can put it in a certain frame that you can look at your hardships and like they say, the blow is softened. So the word spirituality denotes a lifelong journey of exploring and transforming the spirit. The concept suggests that the growth of the spirit brings life to those dark regions of the soul that frighten us or of which we are ashamed. It suggests a search for inner peace as issues are resolved and put to rest. So when we talk about spirituality, we're talking about forces that are involving faith, involving commitment, involving respect, involving humility, involving forgiveness, perhaps even rituals, and being honest. So having a strong spiritual outlook may help you find meaning in life's difficult circumstances. And this is so important for your client to grasp and experience. The spiritual person learns to put problems into perspective and let go of those parts of the problem that are not his or hers to carry. And so individuals learn to address those portions of issues that they can change and accept that there are situations where we have little or no control over. Also, there is evidence that spirituality and positive mental health outcomes are linked. The gift of spiritual life is inner peace. And our clients many times got involved in substance use because they were trying to cope with painful situations or avoid situations that were unpleasant. And so they want to be able to be whole again. They want to be able to experience that spiritual wholeness. So in in treatment programs, when they talk about spirituality, it refers to healing and it refers to achieving an inner peace. So letting the client's objective is to let go of blame and negative feelings after a hurtful incident. And this is a practice that is reflected by a number of spiritual traditions. So modern science shows that there are health benefits of forgiveness, and they are many. So it's better to deal with this unpleasantness that you're carrying around and focus on forgiveness, and therefore better health precedes that. You know, the bitterness, the blocking of your immune system, you have a longer lifespan, you'll have lower blood pressure, you'll have improved cardiovascular health, and you'll have fewer feelings of being angry and or hurt. So when you're dealing with this, you may find that people say, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the higher power, I don't even know what that is. Don't be selling me a bunch of religion. But it'll be important for you to understand the concept yourself of spirituality, and it'll be important for you to educate your client and have them be open to the introduction of this concept in their life. There is a video called The Importance of Spirituality and Recovery, and a gentleman talks about his experience of being in treatment and what his views were when he was introduced to spirituality. Thank you.